Hello, my name is Erica, and I'm the Dyslexic Trekkie. The last few episodes have been a lot for me emotionally. I know I choose these topics and do this to myself, but it doesn't keep some of these subjects from getting to me. After my video on why Geordi LaForge means so much to me, I asked my Facebook group. By the way, I have a Facebook group, Dyslexic Trekkie, feel free to join if you like, for a funny subject. My sister suggested I talk about Data's attempts at humor. Though this is an amusing subject, it's also a deeply nuanced one. It goes back to the subject of neuroatypical representation in Star Trek. I watch a number of YouTubers on a number of subjects. Some are somewhere higher on the autistic spectrum. One of the interesting things about them and Star Trek is that many relate strongly to both Data and Spock because of how they understand the world. One of the things about Data is his inability to understand humor. As we see, it isn't because he can't tell a joke. At first, it's that he can't tell a joke well. I wanted so badly to make a joke about his first attempt in Code of Honor, but couldn't get the words right for the video. But the point in it is, when he tries to be funny, it looks more like he's trying to attack Geordi. But when he's serious, he's funny. In The Outrageous Akona, Guinan tries to help him understand humor by taking him to the holodeck to learn from a comedian. I mean, it's not a bad idea. He learns how to say the jokes better. He doesn't look like he's trying to attack somebody with a joke anymore. And he gets more material. But again, he's just imitating a comedian, Joe Piscopo. Joe Piscopo. Yeah, I'm gonna say his name wrong. Remember, if you catch a mistake in spelling or pronunciation in the first week, and let me know in the comments, you get to pick a future topic. Just be nice. I'm trying. But Data still doesn't really get humor. He knows it makes people laugh, and he understands people enjoy it, but he doesn't really understand what feeling funny is. And this, I think, is why so many neurodivergent people relate to Data so well. For lack of a better term, he doesn't know how to read a room. But it isn't really the same. Red, from the channel Overly Sarcastic, pointed out once that most writers create sentient robots by making a human and taking out traits. That's not really what's going on with Data. Data can read emotions. He understands when his friends are distressed. He understands when his friends are happy, and mostly when to follow certain social norms. But he can't feel what humans can feel. He doesn't have the frame of reference to understand human emotions. He appreciates their significance because he sees around himself what they mean. But since he can't actually feel them, he doesn't know what they really mean on a deeper level. An autistic person has the full range of emotions that everyone else has. They have the ability to understand love, hate, fear, sorrow, and every other emotion. But many autistic people aren't able to read the expressions of another person easily. I should say these are generalizations, and there are always exceptions. It has largely to do with how the neural makeup develops differently. An autistic person may be able to do this or learn it like another language, where others never pick up the skill at all. But Data isn't human minus traits. He's machine plus self-awareness. We learn in the series that he had to have subroutines added to his program for most every trait he has, including wearing clothes. There's always a very intentional show that he has everything he has because it was programmed into him, even the need for friends. So, what does this have to do with humor? Well, I know some very intentionally funny people who would qualify as autistic. They go about it a bit differently, but they do get there. Data only gets there by accident. He can't do more. He doesn't even understand the points made as to how one can be funny. When told it's a question of timing, he states his timing is digital. Probably one of the cutest Data Guinan moments in the series. But of course, that's not what we mean by timing. You have to have a feel for comedic timing. It's why humor is one of the hardest things to write, and why so many writers just fall back on making characters look stupid. Data can't even do that. He can't feel the timing for humor because he can't feel the emotions related to humor. We all have what we find funny. Personally, I like dry humor. Other people enjoy slapstick, but Data can't process humor. He doesn't find anything funny. That is, until the first movie, when he finally incorporates the emotion chip into his positronic brain. Then, we find he can't turn the humor off. It turns out the chip is malfunctioning and he can't stop laughing. We also find out that emotional Data can be a little insufferable. But maybe that's not fair. He's experiencing the full body of emotions for the first time. Just think what that must mean for him. He's seen how emotions affect others, but he's never really understood what they meant. The intensity must have been intoxicating. And yes, I know somebody in the comments section is going to point out that Lore gave him emotions when they interacted with the Borg, but he didn't get the full range of emotions. Lore gave him little doles of what anger was. And I think that's fairly obvious in the episode if you really look carefully. In future movies, it seems he's gotten a better handle on his emotions. Even then, we don't really see him explore humor. That's largely because the writers can't fit as much into a movie. They're limited to 90 minutes to tell their story, and Data's not the focus. Who knows what he was up to when the movie wasn't going on? His search for humanity didn't stop with emotions. We see him explore some sense of childhood and insurrection. Some, again, very funny and cute Data moments. But there's a moment that's very telling in Picard. When Soji, the android Picard saves, asks questions about Data, she asks if he was funny. Picard says only when he didn't mean to be, and truer words were never said. But that's telling part of Data's identity. The people around Data never questioned his identity. None of them ever asked if Data was real, and none of them ever treated him as anything less than a fully actualized person. He was just a fully actualized person who didn't understand humor. This was intended to be a lighter topic after some more emotionally heavy topics for me. I guess I don't really do light topics easily, but I genuinely love Data. I've talked a number of times about how these characters are people I related to. I could see something of myself and a lot of them. Geordi being disabled, Data never completely understanding how to deal with people, and even Wesley's youth compared to everyone else around him were all things I felt I could understand. Thank you for watching. If you like this subject, please like, share, and subscribe. If you have any thoughts, feelings, or ideas on this subject, please share in the comments below. Again, my name is Erica, and I'm the Dyslexic Trekkie. Though this isn't Well, she did, and it was nice of her. I know you want a treat. Well, you know what? Touch. I say touch, he speaks. I say speak, he paws at me. Speak. I swear. Speak. Good boy. Very confused cat. And why so many writers just fall back on making characters look stupid. Well, they do, and it's mean. You get to pick a future topic. Yeah, they do. He appreciates... Yeah? Ensign Bradbury wants to let us know. Yes? Yeah? Okay. Yeah? I know. Yeah, it's not nice, is it? Okay. Sure. Yeah. But I need to get this done. And if you want down, you're gonna... No. You're not rolling over onto your back. Right? Speak. He says, I did. Didn't you hear all that?